Joined by head coach Brad Dunn from Lynchburg Swimming. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, JJ. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Absolutely. I like talking to championship coaches. I have an opportunity today on this couple days before we start the season, talk to three of them. I've talked with Coach Thacker from Roanoke already. I've talked with Coach Gardner at Washington a little later, but now I have you, the reigning champion on the women's side from the ODAC last year, competing it at the Liberty Natatorium at Liberty University. You hoisted the program's first championship trophy. Just kind of give us a reaction of that, because I haven't had a chance to talk to you about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was a really exciting few days there in March. We remember we swam on March 5th and then had March 6th off. And then
Yep.
March 7th, the way that we navigated our COVID protocols and things. And I tell you, JJ, that March 6th day was pretty nerve wracking. I don't ever want to sit through one of those as a coach again. Telling all of our peers it's almost like having a 24-hour halftime when you're we had the lead on the women's side and had a great meet with really back and forth with Roanoke on the women's side, and ultimately you like you said, we got to hoist a trophy and a great program win. I think that it was something that showed that everybody on our program, everybody on our team had a role in getting to that level. And when we got to celebrate, it was as you were there and you get to see jumping in the pool and holding the trophy. To me, and the way that I talked to my peers about it, it was much more than just like a 2020 ODAC trophy. It was the first time to really get to celebrate something for a lot of us in a year. And you could definitely see that on the faces of our women in the water, the men cheering for them in the stands, our coaches, a lot of people in the program. Being part of a really close-knit group of programs at University of Lynchburg. We had some peer coaches that had found ways to volunteer and be there at the meet and then be there on campus when we rang our championship bell. And it helped kick off a really great run of other ODAC titles for the rest of our programs. And I think just having that and having something to be really happy about was very special and way more than just winning a swim meet, right? So it was something that it was with us for a long time. I think it helped us kind of get through the spring, and very excited now to build off of that momentum and get back with the full conference all together and competing and starting off with ODAC relays this weekend.
You're absolutely right about what it kind of kicked off a great historic season for Lynchburg, if you will, going through all the sports that we competed everything in the spring last year. And that kind of where I want to go here, and I was kind of take back a little bit and kind of look at the swimming perspective over the last 20 months or so, that we were able to compete the ODAC championship in February 2020. And then in March, when we're getting ready for NCAAs, looks like Washington Lee is going to have a good contingent of swimmers going to go there and really compete well again. And then everything gets shut down in March, and that's for all sports. So we start going through the process of going and making sure we get our protocols right. And it looks like we're not going to have a swimming season, at least especially in that fall campaign where nothing was competed. And then we started to be able to find ways to go ahead and put some things together, and came through with a really good championship experience for everybody last year. So talk a little bit about just that process of going through, about keeping yourself engaged, keeping the student athletes engaged and ready to go, so that you could have a second place finish on the men's side and then hoist a trophy on the women's side.
Yeah, and I think that the day to day and working through that, it was one of the hardest. I would say probably one of the hardest periods of my life, and especially as a coach, and not because of the competition aspect, but just because of we were a brand new program. We were only in our second year competing as a team, and there were a lot of trajectories that things could go, and people were hurting in a lot of different ways, and trying to figure out what the rhythm of life was going to be like. And what I really doubled down on for myself personally and for our team was that swimming was our outlet to be together, and that was our chance to be with other people. We did it with lots of protocols and took lots of measures to keep our team safe. I feel like we did that very successfully with a lot of accountability and responsibility with our program. But that was our time to remember, like, hey, there is a glue that keeps us together. There's a reason that we do this beyond just the sport, but it is for that culture and for that team, and to be there for one another, and to have all of those intrinsic values come out. And so that was what we really pushed, and we took it day to day. And we were very honest with the team through the summer. When we came back to campus in the fall, it was like, hey, this is what we're being told. This is how we're going to handle it. It was, we may have a fall season, then it was okay. Everything's going to be in the spring. There may just be dual meets. There may be a championship, but whatever we did, it was just day by day and week by week. And to extrapolate on that, that's the values that we want to instill in our program and our team, is that there are going to be other challenges in life and other things that we have to kind of put out of mind and focus on the immediate controllables, and a lot of coach speak and that kind of thing. But I will forever be extremely proud of the way our team handled really last fall in those months leading up to the end of the season. Definitely a lot of difficult times for everybody.
You mentioned coach speak there. I can think of a future feature coming where I just get some of the coaches in the league to give us their favorite coach speak line to go to their kids. And I think it'd be kind of fun to post out there. But no, I imagine you've got some of that going on right now too, as we get to a more normal preseason, if you will. But I say more normal because you've got it going on for really 2 classes, just like all the other coaches do in the league, is that your freshman last year didn't get to go through it at all. So now you've got that class going through a preseason for the first time, this year's class going through a preseason for the first time. The bonus is you've had an opportunity to have an exhibition go against Liberty, so you can kind of see what they have and go through. But talk a little bit about the process here getting into the season as we start to prepare for the ODAC relays this coming weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I think was said before we started this call, you and I were kind of catching up, and I said I appreciate you being one of the few people outside of our world to acknowledge that it is tough. I have not gotten to see my freshman or sophomore class swim anywhere but the Liberty Natatorium in a Lynchburg swim cap. Right? It's pretty weird. We had 4 dual meets there and an ODAC championship last year, all at our home pool. And so there's a lot of learning curve. There's a lot of growing pains with it. Again, I'm very proud of the way that our team is handling it. I don't know if we're in a new normal or in a new rhythm or whatever it is, but we are where we are, right? And so I think a lot of things to get used to. Scheduling, I think, has been one thing that is, we've got a significant portion of our team that hasn't been to in-person classes and practice and social life and nutrition schedule and sleep schedule and all of those things. So a lot of teaching, a lot of patience. And I think right now we're in about our 4th official week of the season and starting to figure those things out really well. Had a good time last night. We went over, cheered for our Lynchburg volleyball team, cut out a little bit of practice, and starting to see the team really gel, and looking forward to getting a first true competition this weekend. And we had a great meet with Liberty, as we usually like to do to start our seasons, with an exhibition meet to shake the rust off. And now excited to really, like I said before, get to see our team be a team. Swimming is a very tough sport to love. It's something where even when we're at our best, it still hurts and it still can be boring, and we acknowledge all of those things. But to do difficult things with a close-knit family and team is what makes it worth it. And looking forward to one of those things paying off this weekend and starting a long journey as we go towards February 10th at ODAC championships.
Well, in addition to chemistry and that gelling as a team, you need some talent as well too to win titles and place well. And you've got that in abundance. Is just looking from a returning athlete's perspective. My count, you've got 27 of 28 all conference swimmers coming back last year, combined men and women. So basically talk about the state of your program here right now, both men and women. Where are you at, and how good do you expect to be this year?
Yeah, I think I appreciate that, and very proud not only of the culture but also the talent and what we've been able to develop in performance. And I think that it's definitely worth acknowledging that it was a little bit smaller of a meet at ODAC championships. A couple of our peer schools were not able to be there to compete, and definitely in respect, looking after their own programs, and all of us just trying to figure out what was the best way to approach last year. And so of those people returning, I still believe that all of those 27 that you mentioned are people that could score in an A or B final this year. Right. I think that we have a great freshman class that's come in that's going to add on to that, add on to our team culture, add on to some of our strengths, but also fill in some of the places we might have been a little bit weaker last year. And especially excited about kind of our core group of freshman guys that are going to come in and bolster the men's side a little bit. I'm really excited for our team this season because I believe it's going to be that gut check and that challenge to see where we are. I think when we mapped out the way we wanted to grow the program and recruiting our original class, winning an ODAC championship was not part of the 2-year plan or any of that stuff. It was part of the long-term plan of where we wanted to be at, competing for that with great rivals in the conference. But now we're going to get back to that. We're going to have, a lot of great teams, great coaches, and good competition to go up against. And so, I feel really confident that our team is prepared well, and I'm excited for them to have the challenge to see, what we can do against some of the traditional powerhouses of our conference in Washington and Lee, Randolph-Macon, and Roanoke. So I'm excited, and I definitely think it's going to be a great challenge.
Yeah, you mentioned those teams coming back, and Washington Lee obviously not being there, having won 30 women's championships and 6 of the 7 men's championships since it became a sport in 2014-15. So that's the championship target, if you will. And they weren't there last year, obviously, and Randolph-Macon wasn't there, who's won championships. We didn't have a Randolph squad there. Guilford didn't come and compete. So there's some pieces, you're right, to be put back in there. But talk about what you think you see from the ODAC this year, and especially having the opportunity to do what you've talked about going to different places where we get to go back down to the Greensboro Aquatic Center, which is a nationally rated facility hosting national championships in the ACC, that we're pretty much spoiled here in what we get to do, both competition wise in a great conference and where we get to do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that, in this conference, we have such a unique group of schools that are growing swim programs. It's probably the fastest rising swimming conference in the country, in my opinion. Just looking at, we like to consider ourselves a part of that, but what Roanoke has been able to do, what Washington and Lee consistently does, what Randolph-Macon consistently does, and then all of the other schools that are in there that have great talent that they bring to the table as well. And, Bridgewater, Hampton, Sydney, and some of these other places that are going to be really competitive. And I think it's because we definitely, when we do our coaches meetings and we have our groups of people, I think there is unity, as well as a belief that, our programs are all, are growing together, right? A rising tide raises all ships. And so I think that's where we've got it. Here's no more coach speak for you, JJ.
Love that.
Yeah, right. And so I think that's got to be our belief. And yes, there's teams that, WNL has won that many conference championships, and we've got other people that are competing, and the measure the end goal isn't just to win the ODAC. It's, I would love to see us have, 4 or 5 schools that crack into the top 25 in the country. And I think we can do that because we're in a hotbed of swimming. You watch Olympic trials and it's Virginia swimmer, Virginia swimmer, Virginia swimmer all over the place. We've got great swimmers in the state of Virginia, in North Carolina, close by to where we are in the DMV area. We've also got great swimming that pulls, from the East Coast. And so I think recruiting wise, our programs can do well. And what you said, I mean, our conference does an awesome job with having the Greensboro Aquatic Center as a home base for our championship meet. It's pretty cool that, you can go there 3 straight weekends. You can watch an ACC championship. You can watch a national championship. You kick that all off by watching an ODAC championship. And an ODAC championship is a full building, just like all of those other meets. And that's pretty special at our level, JJ. And I think we're all excited and eager to get back down there in February.
I agree with you, and I look forward to watching your program and each of the other programs over the next couple months before we get to go down to Greensboro and spend 4 days in the Aquatic Center there, right around their village of the Coliseum and that facility, which is just outstanding. And I think they've added a 4th pool since we've been there. So
they have. I don't think they're going to have a KISS concert. Last time we had our meet down there was a KISS concert going on next door.
Well, it's either that or we get traffic stopped by elephants crossing the road from having the circus there in the past. So that's another good one. But Coach, I want to thank you for joining me today and wish you good luck for this season.
JJ, I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you soon and the rest of our conference come Saturday.